All right, this morning, some remarkable new statements with varying degrees of evidence in a new interview with President Trump just released by Time magazine.
Right. In this interview, the president justifies some of the most controversial statements that he's ever made, statements not backed up by any fact. He doesn't provide any more fact, but he does say that his presidency isn't going that badly because, after all, quote, "I'm president and you're not." CNN host of Reliable Sources, our senior media correspondent, Brian Stelter, is here with more details. So that, I mean, perhaps the most blunt line of the entire article. He ends it by telling the reporter, things aren't going that badly because I'm president, you're not.
And fact check, that is true. There are other falsehoods in this interview, talking about Sweden and voter frauds and other issues. But it is a remarkable interview for President Trump saying, the people believe me. The media is saying I'm wrong on these issues, but the people believe me. And at every point, the president turns to cherry-picking news stories that he says prove his points. Now, we've seen him do that with the New York Times on the topic of wiretapping. Times reporters have said, no way, our story does not say what you think it says. But he's selectively using those news outlets, whether it's Fox or the New York Times or others, to support his positions.
And look, this interview happened just after the news that Devin Nunes said that there were Trump team associates picked up an incidental contact during the transition. The reporter, Michael Shear, he didn't know it when he sat down with Trump at the time, but the president knew it. And the president said, you know, when I said wiretapping, it was in quotes because wiretapping is, you know, today different than wiretapping. We, of course, know that not to be true. The president said he was wiretapped by President Obama. Not true at all. But he hung this whole interview on his comments with Devin Nunes.
That's right. I think it seems like this interview was designed to support the president's accuracy rate, his credibility, at a time when we've seen a lot of stories on this network and all over the place about the president's credibility, suggesting the credibility is in tatters. You know, the Wall Street Journal editorial a couple of days ago saying if the president continues this way, he will be a fake president.
From a more friendly publication.
That's right, and Trump called that editorial a disgrace. But in time after time, the president likes to kick that can down that proverbial road. Here's what we wrote about voter fraud, for example. In the interview with Michael Shear, the quote in Time magazine is, "I think I will be proven right about that too." This is on the claim that millions of people voted illegally in the election. Now, the president even says, I have people that told me it was more than the 5 million that I claimed. So he's pushing it down the road, saying there's going to be an investigation, and eventually I'll be right.
But who, I mean, he says you're wrong, the media is wrong, the people trust me, and the people trust what I'm saying. I know he doesn't like polls, but all of the daily tracking polls show a continual decline. I think the latest number was a 37% approval rating.
And I think that's the broader point Michael Shear and Time magazine's making. The cover of the magazine this week is truth dead. I think the point that the magazine's trying to make is, among Trump's base, this is very effective. This messaging strategy, saying things that in some cases aren't true, but feel right and feel good, it's an effective messaging strategy. And as we cover various falsehoods and distortions in interviews like this, we've got to recognize the effectiveness sometimes of these tactics.
Michael Shear did a nice job. He pressed the president on many of the things he said, including about the claims that Donald Trump repeated about Ted Cruz's father, trying to link Ted Cruz to Lee Harvey Oswald. And the president said, that was in the newspaper. You know, I didn't say that. I was referring to the newspaper as if that absolves him. You know, so the president's saying this now, and it's just so strange given the fact that the president's had Ted Cruz over to eat.
And says, I'm a friend of Cruz, right. Yeah. By the way, that newspaper was the National Enquirer. Now, I see that magazine on the supermarket tabloid newsstand, sometimes laugh at the headlines. I don't think many of our viewers watching take the Enquirer that seriously. Even if you buy it and are entertained by it, it's not a newspaper that you would call a reliable source. So the president citing that article in order to defend himself once again. One other quote, if I can share from the magazine, I thought this was striking also, talking about his instincts, talking about the president's instincts. It said, I tend to be right. I'm an instinctual person. I happen to be a person who knows how life works. So he's talking about a guttural reaction, that he knows in his gut that he's right about these stories.
Look, he has political skills. I mean, that's true. That he has proven, you know, whether he's right on many of these issues. I mean, sometimes the evidence does not bear that out. Brian Stelter, great to have you with us.
It's not a right or wrong on some of these issues. There's just the facts.
Right.
All right. Thank you, Brian.
Thanks.
We appreciate it.